You're standing in line at a coffee shop. A woman, maybe in her late 40s, maybe younger, glances at you briefly as she waits for her order. It's not a long look, just a moment, but you noticed it, and immediately a question crosses your mind. What did she see? Most men over 60 assume that when a woman looks at them, she's making a quick calculation about age, that she's comparing them to younger men and dismissing them just as quickly, that whatever appeal they once had has faded with time, and all that's left is invisibility. But that assumption is wrong. Here's what most men don't realize. Women are not primarily scanning for youth. They're scanning for vitality, for energy, for presence. And those qualities are communicated not through your age, but through your body language, your posture, your movement, and the way you occupy space. A man in his 60s who moves with purpose, who maintains himself with care, and who engages with life rather than withdrawing from it sends signals that register at a subconscious level. And those signals often matter far more than the lines on his face or the gray in his hair. The truth is, your body is constantly communicating. Whether you realize it or not, you're broadcasting information about your energy, your self-respect, your emotional state, and your relationship with the world around you. And women, especially mature women, are exceptionally skilled at reading those signals. This video is not about vanity. It's not about trying to look 25 again. It's about understanding the nonverbal cues you're sending and making small, intentional adjustments that shift how you're perceived, not just by women, but by the world. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 body signals that women notice in men over 60. These are not dramatic transformations. They're subtle shifts that communicate presence, discipline, and quiet confidence. And number 7 is the most important because it's the signal that ties everything else together. Let's begin. Welcome to Femme Psychology with Emma. If you value insight over platitudes, subscribe. This channel is built for men who lead with intention. Before we dive into the 7 signals, it's important to understand why this matters. Your body is not just a physical container, it's a communication system. Every gesture, every posture, every movement sends information about who you are and how you relate to the world. And women, particularly mature women, are exceptionally attuned to those signals. Not consciously, necessarily, but intuitively. They notice the way you carry yourself, the way you move through space, the way you engage or disengage from the environment around you. These signals tell them far more than your words ever could. A man who walks with his shoulders back, who makes deliberate eye contact, who moves with calm purpose, he's communicating discipline, self-respect, and engagement with life. A man who shuffles, who avoids eye contact, who seems to be trying to take up as little space as possible, he's communicating withdrawal, resignation, and diminished vitality. And here's the critical point. Women are not comparing you to 25-year-old men. That comparison exists primarily in your own mind. What they're assessing is whether you're still fully engaged with life, whether you've maintained yourself, whether you project energy or depletion, whether you seem like someone who adds to the world around him or someone who's quietly fading from it. Those assessments happen in seconds, and they're based almost entirely on nonverbal cues. The good news is that these signals are largely within your control. You may not be able to turn back the clock on age, but you can absolutely shift how you present yourself. And those shifts, small, intentional, consistent, can change how you're perceived in ways that have nothing to do with how old you are. So let's look at the 7 signals women are noticing. The first signal women notice is posture. This is the most immediate and visible indicator of how you carry yourself, and it communicates far more than you might realize. Posture is not just about standing up straight. It's about how open or closed your body appears. It's about whether you seem engaged with the world or withdrawn from it, and it's one of the clearest signals of vitality, or the lack of it. Here's the psychology. Open posture, shoulders back, chest forward, head level, signals confidence, presence, and engagement. It says, I'm comfortable occupying space. I'm not shrinking away from the world. Closed posture, rounded shoulders, head down, chest collapsed, signals withdrawal, fatigue, or resignation. It says, I'm trying to take up as little space as possible. I'm not fully here. And women pick up on that difference immediately. A man with open posture doesn't need to say a word to communicate that he's still actively engaged with life. His body does the talking. And that engagement is attractive, not because it's performative, but because it reflects vitality. Let me give you a realistic scenario. Two men in their mid-60s walk into the same room. The first has rounded shoulders, his gaze is down, and he moves hesitantly, as if he's apologizing for being there. The second stands upright, his shoulders are back, and he moves with calm purpose. Neither says a word, but the second man is noticed, not because he's louder or flashier, but because his posture communicates presence. Now, this doesn't mean you need to walk around puffing your chest out unnaturally. Forced posture looks just as bad as collapsed posture. What you're aiming for is natural alignment, where your body reflects that you're awake, engaged, and comfortable in your own skin. Practical adjustment. Throughout the day, check in with your posture. Are your shoulders back? Is your head level? Are you standing or sitting in a way that reflects energy rather than fatigue? Small corrections, repeated consistently, become habit, and those habits change how you're perceived. Posture is the foundation. Everything else builds from here. The second signal women notice is the pace of your movement. This is subtle but powerful. The speed at which you move, whether you're walking, gesturing, or transitioning from one activity to another, communicates a great deal about your internal state. Here's what matters. Rushed movement signals anxiety, uncertainty, or a lack of groundedness. It suggests that you're reacting to the world rather than moving through it with intention. Grounded, deliberate movement signals calm, confidence, and presence. It suggests that you're in control of your own rhythm and that you're not being pushed around by external pressures. And women notice this difference immediately. A man who moves too quickly, who seems hurried or scattered, comes across as anxious or uncomfortable. A man who moves with calm, measured pacing comes across as grounded and self-assured. Let me paint the picture. You're walking through a parking lot. A man in his 60s is moving quickly, almost frantically, as if he's late for something or trying to get somewhere as fast as possible. His movement communicates stress. Another man, the same age, is walking at a steady, unhurried pace. Not slow, just deliberate. His movement communicates calm. The second man is far more likely to be noticed positively. Not because he's doing anything flashy, but because his pacing reflects emotional regulation. This applies to smaller movements as well. The way you gesture, the way you reach for something, the way you transition from sitting to standing. Rushed, jerky movements signal internal chaos. Smooth, intentional movements signal internal calm. Practical adjustment, slow down. Not to the point of appearing lethargic, but enough that your movements feel intentional rather than reactive. Give yourself an extra second before standing, before walking, before gesturing. That extra second changes how you're perceived. It communicates that you're in control of your own tempo. And control is attractive. The third signal is your hands. Hands are one of the most expressive parts of the body. And women notice them, not just in terms of grooming, but in terms of how you use them, how steady they are, and what they communicate about your self-care. Let's start with grooming. Clean, well-maintained hands signal that you care about how you present yourself. They suggest that you're still engaged with the details of life. Neglected hands, dirty nails, rough skin, lack of attention signal the opposite. This isn't about vanity. It's about self-respect. A man who takes care of his hands is communicating that he hasn't checked out, that he's still paying attention. But grooming is only part of it. The way you use your hands matters just as much. Steady, controlled gestures signal calm and confidence. Fidgeting, tapping, or restless movement signals anxiety or discomfort. Here's the psychology. When a woman sees a man whose hands are steady, whether he's holding a glass, gesturing during conversation, or simply resting them naturally, she registers composure. When she sees restless, fidgety hands, she registers nervousness. And composure is far more attractive than nervousness. A realistic example: you're sitting across from someone at dinner. Your hands are resting calmly on the table, or you're gesturing naturally as you speak. That steadiness communicates groundedness. Compare that to a man who's constantly adjusting his silverware, tapping the table, or fidgeting with his phone. That restlessness communicates internal discomfort. Practical adjustment: pay attention to your hands, keep your nails trimmed and clean, use lotion if your skin is rough, and practice stillness. Let your hands rest naturally rather than constantly moving. Those small adjustments communicate care and calm, and both are signals women notice. The fourth signal is eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most powerful forms of nonverbal communication. It can convey confidence, interest, warmth, or discomfort, all without a single word. And women are exceptionally attuned to how a man uses his eyes. Here's what matters. Calm, steady eye contact signals confidence and presence. It says, "I'm comfortable being seen, and I'm comfortable seeing you." Darting, avoiding, or overly intense eye contact signals discomfort, insecurity, or aggression. The key is balance. You don't want to stare, that comes across as aggressive or unnatural, but you also don't want to constantly look away, which signals nervousness or lack of engagement. What you're aiming for is natural, relaxed eye contact that reflects genuine interest without intensity. A realistic scenario: you're having a conversation with someone. A man who maintains calm eye contact, looking at the person while they're speaking, breaking naturally to gather his thoughts, then returning, communicates presence and confidence. A man who constantly looks down, looks away, or can't hold eye contact for more than a second or two communicates discomfort or lack of self-assurance. Here's the psychology. Eye contact creates connection. It signals that you're fully present in the moment. And presence, more than almost anything else, is what mature women find attractive in older men. Practical adjustment: practice maintaining eye contact during conversations. Not staring, just calm, natural engagement. If it feels uncomfortable at first, that's normal. But over time, it becomes second nature. And once it does, it shifts how people perceive you. You'll come across as more confident, more engaged, and more grounded. Eye contact is a signal of emotional steadiness, and steadiness is magnetic. The fifth signal is facial expression. Your face communicates emotion whether you intend it to or not. And women are remarkably skilled at reading micro-expressions, those fleeting signals that reveal how you're actually feeling beneath the surface. Here's what matters. A face that appears naturally warm and approachable signals emotional openness and engagement with life. A face that appears tense, stern, or perpetually neutral signals guardedness, fatigue, or emotional withdrawal. This doesn't mean you need to walk around grinning constantly. Forced smiles are just as off-putting as no expression at all. What you're aiming for is natural warmth, a face that reflects that you're still emotionally alive. Here's the psychology. Tension in the face, clenched jaw, furrowed brow, tight lips signals stress or internal rigidity. Softness in the face, relaxed muscles, gentle warmth in the eyes signals calm and approachability. And women notice this immediately. A realistic example: two men are sitting at a cafe. One has a face that looks perpetually tense. His jaw is tight, his brow is furrowed, and he looks like he's carrying the weight of the world. The other has a relaxed, open expression, not overly animated, just naturally warm. The second man is far more likely to be perceived as approachable and emotionally available. Practical adjustment: check in with your facial muscles throughout the day. Are you clenching your jaw? Are you furrowing your brow? Consciously relax those muscles. Let your face rest naturally rather than holding tension. This is a small shift, but it changes how you're perceived. A relaxed face signals emotional ease, and ease is attractive. The sixth signal is your voice, both tone and pacing. Your voice is an extension of your presence. It communicates confidence, calm, and emotional regulation, or it communicates anxiety, uncertainty, and internal chaos. Here's what matters. A calm, measured voice signals groundedness. It suggests that you're in control of your own emotional state and that you're not being pushed around by external pressures. A rushed, high-pitched, or overly quiet voice signals nervousness, insecurity, or disengagement. The key is not volume, it's tone and pacing. You don't need to speak loudly to command presence, but you do need to speak clearly, at a measured pace, and with enough resonance that people feel your words rather than just hear them. A realistic scenario: you're having a conversation. A man who speaks too quickly, who raises his pitch when he's nervous, or who trails off at the end of sentences communicates uncertainty. A man who speaks at a calm, steady pace, who pauses naturally, who finishes his sentences with clarity, communicates confidence and control. Here's the psychology. Women are highly sensitive to vocal tone. A deep, calm voice triggers feelings of safety and competence. A nervous, rushed voice triggers the opposite. Practical adjustment. Slow down when you speak. Pause between thoughts. Lower your pitch slightly if it tends to rise when you're anxious, and finish your sentences fully rather than trailing off. Those adjustments shift how you're perceived. You'll come across as more grounded, more authoritative, and more emotionally stable. Voice is power. Use it intentionally. Now we come to the seventh and most important signal: overall energy and presence. This is the signal that ties all the others together. It's not about any one specific thing. It's about the cumulative impression you create through how you move, how you speak, how you engage, and how you occupy space. Presence is the quality that makes someone noticeable without them trying to be noticed. It's the sense that a person is fully inhabiting their life rather than passively moving through it. And it's the single most attractive quality a man over 60 can have. Here's why. Presence signals vitality. It signals that you're still engaged with the world, that you're still growing, that you're still curious. And vitality, not youth, is what mature women find attractive. A man can be 70 and radiate presence. Another man can be 50 and seem depleted. The difference has nothing to do with age and everything to do with energy. Presence is built through small, consistent choices. It's built by taking care of yourself physically, by staying intellectually curious, by maintaining hobbies and interests, by engaging with people rather than withdrawing, by moving through the world with intention rather than passivity. Let me give you two contrasting examples. The first man is in his late 60s. He's let himself go physically. He spends most of his time watching television. He's disengaged from hobbies, friendships, and new experiences. When you're around him, you can feel the heaviness, the sense that he's checking out of life. The second man is the same age. He takes care of his health. He reads. He has projects. He engages with people. He moves with purpose. When you're around him, you feel energy, the sense that he's still fully alive. The second man has presence. The first does not. And that difference is what women notice most. Here's the truth. Presence cannot be faked. It's the result of how you live your life. It's the cumulative effect of discipline, curiosity, self-respect, and engagement. But it can be built, and it can be rebuilt. If you've lost presence, if you feel like you've become invisible or withdrawn, you can reclaim it. Not overnight, but through consistent, intentional choices. Take care of your body, not to look 25 again, but to feel strong and capable. Engage your mind. Read. Learn. Stay curious. Maintain relationships. Show up for people. Pursue interests that matter to you. All of those things feed presence. And presence is what makes you noticeable, respected, and attractive at any age. The 7 signals we've discussed today are not about transformation. They're about refinement. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to become more intentional about how you present yourself and how you engage with the world around you. Posture, movement, hands, eye contact, expression, voice, presence. Each of these signals communicates something about who you are and how you relate to life. And women, especially mature women, are reading those signals whether you're aware of it or not. The good news is that all of these signals are within your control. Small adjustments, practiced consistently, change how you're perceived in ways that have nothing to do with your age. Attraction after 60 is not about youth. It's about vitality. It's about whether you're still fully engaged with life or quietly withdrawing from it. And vitality is a choice, so make the choice. Stand a little taller, move a little slower, take care of your hands, hold eye contact, soften your face, speak with intention, and above all, stay engaged. Because the men who remain present, who continue to grow, who refuse to fade quietly into the background, those are the men who get noticed. Not because they're trying to impress anyone, but because they're still fully alive. If this resonated with you, comment below where you're watching from. I want to know who's part of this community. And subscribe to Femme Psychology with Emma for more insight into attraction, presence, and living intentionally at every stage of life. I'll see you in the next one.